AITA for not backing my husband when my stepdaughter started pulling away after he punished her? I, mid-30s, have been married to my husband, 40s, for about 4 years now. His daughter, Danny, 15, lives with us most of the time. I came into her life when she was around 9, and we've always had a good relationship. She's a great kid, smart, funny, a little dramatic sometimes, but generally kind and emotionally aware for her age. He was her safe person through a messy divorce and always made sure she knew she was loved. Their bond has always been more best buds than the typical strict parent thing. Recently, Danny got in trouble at school over some texts about another girl in her group chat with her friends. Mostly dumb teenage stuff, but a few of the things Danny said about this particular girl were pretty mean. Not slurs or threats or anything awful like that, but a couple of personal jabs since she didn't particularly like her. How it got out: one of the girls in the group chat had a falling out with the others and screenshotted everything. She sent the screenshots to the girl they'd been talking about, who brought them to a teacher. The school ended up calling a meeting with parents, including my husband. The school took it seriously but handled it well, in my opinion. Danny owned up to what she said and apologized. Like, a real apology, not a forced one. The girl actually accepted it, which I think says a lot. At home, though, things took a turn. My husband reacted very differently than I expected. He didn't yell or lose his temper. Instead, he shut down emotionally. He took her phone outside of school use, grounded her for 2 weeks, and gave her extra chores with a big lecture about how being that girl, the mean one, sticks with you, how people remember what you do, how damage can't be undone. But what stood out wasn't the consequences. It was how he did it. It was like a switch flipped. He became cold, formal. Every interaction with her was short, distant, and transactional. No softness, no patience, no sense of connection. It was almost like he couldn't bring himself to look at her the same way. And now, 2 weeks later, that's exactly how she treats him. Polite, obedient, but emotionally closed off. She answers questions, follows rules, says thanks and okay and nothing else. The affection's gone, their usual dynamic is gone. With me, she's still her usual self. She talks, she jokes, she decompresses, runs up to get her hug before I leave in the morning. And my husband has noticed. He asked me if I'd talk to her, help smooth things over, explain where he was coming from. I told him I think she already gets where he was coming from, but I also think she felt hurt a bit and she's allowed to feel that way. I said that you can't expect a kid to act like nothing happened when their entire sense of safety in a relationship gets rattled like that. That kind of shift in tone from being your safe person to being so harsh and cold does something to a kid, especially one who's not used to it. He didn't take it well. He said I was minimizing what she did, and that if anyone in the house deserved hurt feelings, it wasn't Danny. I pushed back and said I wasn't going to push her to pretend she's not feeling what she's feeling just to make him more comfortable. That's when things escalated. He said I was choosing her over him. I said I wasn't choosing anyone, I just wasn't willing to pretend this didn't change things. He said he was trying to keep her from turning into the kind of person who destroys other people's self-worth and walks away. He told me if I couldn't be on the same page with him as a parent, then maybe I needed space to go figure out where I stood. So I left. I'm at my sister's place right now. And she, of course, sides with him. Says it's good he's not trying to be the cool dad, that it's better to overreact now than regret not doing enough later. I don't disagree entirely. I just think there's a way to teach a kid something serious without making them feel like they're suddenly a stranger to you. So here I am. I didn't back him up when he asked me to. I told him the truth instead. I didn't think that made me the bad guy, but now I'm not so sure.
Relevant comments. Rescue Squad 704. Sounds like dad got bullied as a kid and he needs to have a vulnerable talk with his daughter about the feelings her actions brought up in him. And then apologize that trauma impacted how he dealt with this. Corfies 74. This was my first thought: dad got triggered by personal trauma, and suddenly his own kid became the enemy. I'd talk to him and try to figure out what happened to him at that age, and get him to tell that story to his daughter. Hopefully then she'll realize where his behavior was coming from. And get him to actually tell her that he loves her, no matter what, and will always love her, and that his behavior was due to his own personal trauma, and had only peripherally to do with her. Rescue Squad 704. She's at the perfect age to realize parents are humans too, they make mistakes, have history that goes back further than they do, etc. It could actually drive this lesson home really well if done the right way.
Update. It's been a bit since I last posted, and a couple things have changed, so I figured I'd give an update. I've seen a lot of perspectives that helped me think through how everyone, my husband, Danny, even myself, may have gotten tangled up in our own emotions while trying to do what we thought was right. So thank you. After I cooled off and came back home, I told my husband we needed to talk, not just about Danny, but about why he reacted the way he did. I think deep down I already knew it wasn't just about her behavior at school. He finally opened up and admitted that the whole thing hit a raw nerve for him. When he was Danny's age, he was on the receiving end of some pretty cruel bullying, stuff that stuck with him for years. He said seeing Danny even dabble in that kind of behavior scared him. It wasn't about control, it was about fear. Fear that she'd become someone who could inflict the kind of pain he still carries. That fear made him pull back from her instead of leaning in, and it came out in this cold, distant way that hurt them both. I encouraged him to talk to Danny about it, not to justify what happened, but to explain it and take accountability. And he did. It wasn't some big emotional movie moment, but it was honest. He told her about what he went through, how ashamed he felt that he let his fear come between them, and that her behavior reminded him of people who had hurt him, but that didn't mean she was like them. She listened the whole time, really listened. And she surprised both of us. She didn't get teary or run into his arms or anything. But she did say that she got it. That she's actually been thinking a lot about why what she said mattered, and that the only reason she could reflect on it properly was because she didn't shut down emotionally afterward. She said she felt like she'd lost him for a while, and now that she knows why, she's trying to meet him halfway, but she's still cautious. She's being respectful, warmish, but not back to their old dynamic. Not yet, maybe not ever in the same way. But it's something. Funny enough, the girl Danny said those things about? They've been hanging out. Not besties, but weirdly, this mess kind of forced a level of honesty between them that ended up creating mutual understanding. The girl told Danny she was really hurt at first, because she thought Danny meant for her to see those messages. But once they had a real conversation, she realized that wasn't the case. She admitted she was more mad at the girl who leaked the texts, her friend who sent the screenshots around after a falling out. She told Danny she now gets that the stuff said in the chat wasn't meant to be public or malicious, just venting between teens. She even said she's said worse things herself in private about people she was frustrated with. It didn't excuse it, but it helped her put it in perspective, and she let it go. As for therapy, I brought it up. I told my husband that maybe this would be a good opportunity for all of us to work on our dynamics, maybe family therapy, or even just individual support to unpack some of the emotional baggage that clearly still weighs heavy. He's open to family therapy, but absolutely shut down the idea of individual counseling for himself. Danny's kind of on the fence. She says she doesn't hate the idea, but she doesn't feel like she needs it, either. Things aren't magically fixed, but we're in a more honest place now. Danny's been handling this whole situation with more maturity than I expected. My husband and I are still figuring out what parenting together means when we come at things from different emotional angles. I still stand by what I said in the original post, kids don't just bounce back from emotional shifts, and pretending nothing happened doesn't help anyone. But I'm glad we didn't just leave things frozen there. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to give their opinions.
Relevant comments. Stepdaughter. Wow, that's an incredible update. Sounds like you guys are raising an incredible human being who is able to self-reflect, which is unusual for anyone at any age, let alone a teenager. I'm glad your husband was able to open up and acknowledge that this brought back all the painful memories. It also sounds like knowing this you will all be communicating better in the future. I think even if the rest of the family doesn't want to participate in therapy, you should definitely go for it yourself. It never hurts to have an outside opinion. Thorn Petalrose. Deadass, this update gave me chills. Like, we barely see teens this emotionally fluent, and she's handling it better than most adults fr.